What's up, guys? This is Brad. I've got a CGC reveal video today, and we're going to continue on with the style that I've been doing here recently, where because I've taken a little bit of a hiatus from submitting my own books until PSA comes out with their grading service, I'm going through and sharing a bunch of magazines that I have pressed for other collectors. Yeah, just kind of showing you the different grades and the flaws and talking about the covers. I think that's all the fun. But before I jump into it, I actually want to give a shout out to one of the watchers of my channel, and specifically for this shirt. So this was sent to me by Greg Thorpe. He is a collector in the hobby. He's active in our different Facebook groups. I've spoken with him many times, and Greg had this shirt made and sent it to me. And just want to give him a big thank you, big shout out for this. This is the Mount Rushmore of graded Sports Illustrated magazines. You've got the Muhammad Ali first cover. That's from 1963. This is Michael Jordan's first Sports Illustrated cover with Sam Perkins from 1983. And of course, you got Wayne Gretzky, his first cover from 1981. And then that is Mickey Mantle's first cover from 1956. The Mount Rushmore, very cool. Another thing that's really cool about this is this design was actually created by my friend Mike, who runs the Slabs to Men account and who used to do I used to do the Mags and Slabs podcast with. Back whenever we were doing those live streams and those podcasts, that was my buddy Mike, and he's actually the one that designed this, which is pretty cool. And then I believe this is now also the cover photo in the Facebook group, the CGC Sports Illustrated Facebook group, which if you're not a part of, make sure you go join. So yeah, it's super cool. And then Greg had a shirt made out of it and he sent it to me. So thank you, Greg. That is awesome. I mean, guys, I'm big time now. I got viewers sending me merch. Not really. I'm definitely not big time at all, but I very much appreciate Greg sending me this. Very kind of him, really cool, and happy to represent it here in this video. Another cool thing about this, and sorry, I got magazines all behind me laying on the floor. That's just the life of a sports magazine guy. But someone in our Facebook group asked the question, who has completed the Mount Rushmore? Who has a newsstand copy of all four of these Mount Rushmore slabs? And I am fortunate to be one of the few that was able to say that I have completed this Mount Rushmore run. I've got one Muhammad Ali first cover in newsstand. It's a 5.0. I've got 4 or 5 copies of the Michael Jordan first cover in newsstand, with my best being an 8.0. I've only got one Gretzky first cover newsstand. I think it's like a 6.5. And then I've got 4 copies of the Mantle first cover in newsstand, with my best being an 8.0. So that's kind of a cool little thing. But yeah, thanks again, Greg, for the shirt. Appreciate you spreading the hobby and just being a good dude in general. So with that being said, let's jump in and start looking at some of these slabs that I've got to share with you today. And we're going to begin with this Sports Illustrated from 1964. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and take my face off now so we can focus more on the slabs. You don't need to be seeing me. And yeah, look at this, 1964. This is Casey Stengel and Yogi Berra. So Yankee general manager George Weiss hired Yogi Berra. Let's see here. No, I'm sorry. I'm mixing this up. Casey Stengel. Yankee general manager George Weiss hired Casey Stengel in October 1948 to manage the Yankees, and the Yankees won 5 consecutive World Series from 1949 to 1953, which is the only time that's ever been done, with 5 straight World Series. And even though that team won 10 pennants in 12 seasons and won 7 World Series, Stengel's last 2 seasons had a lot less success, and they finished third place in 1959 and then lost in the World Series in 1960. So Stengel by that time was 70 years old, and then the Yankees fired him after that 1960 World Series defeat. So what happened then was the expansion Mets hired him to be their manager in 1961, and he actually like tirelessly promoted the New York Mets. In addition to managing them, now they did go 40 and 120, which was the most losses of any team in the 20th century. Shout out to the Chicago White Sox, who recently lost more games than that. And yeah, the team finished last all 4 years that Stengel managed it. But it had considerable support from the fans, and Stengel was a big part of that. He retired in 65. He was a fixture at baseball events for the rest of his life. And although he's sometimes described as one of the great managers in Major League history, some others have kind of argued that his success during the Yankee years was basically just because he was given good players, especially when contrasted with many of his other managing seasons that were not successful. But regardless, he's one of the great characters in baseball history, and he was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1966. So that's all about Casey Stengel and Yogi Berra. I'm not going to go into great detail about. You probably know more about him. So this particular issue, this is a 6.5 copy. It's a Pop 1 with 6 higher, as you can see here. And by the way, did you know that when you go type in the cert number for any slab, which you can do that for any slab, just go to CGC cert number search, and you can type in the cert number. It'll bring up this page for every individual slab. And if you scroll down here, you can actually click on this, and it will take you directly to the pop report for that specific issue. So it showed right here that it is a pop 1 with 6 higher, but then you can actually, just by clicking on that, you can look directly at the specifics. You can see that there's a 9.0, 8.5, 8.75, and so on. And for a total of 7 that have been graded. So that's just a little tip in case you didn't know. One cool thing about this method of CGC reveal video is we can talk a little more in depth about some of the issues, and you can learn more about condition of magazines and how they're graded and why they get the grades that they get. So you can see this one was deducted for creasing to the cover, foxing to the cover, and spine stress lines. So let's see if we can see any of those. Creasing to the cover, obviously there's some creasing there. And, these are the types of creases that break color and can be significantly improved with pressing, but, the flaw is still going to remain. This looks a lot better than it did before I pressed, but because there was a color break, it's not going to come out all the way. This looks like a little crease as well. It mentioned spine stress lines. You can see there's tons of those. Here's one, and going all the way down. You got all these spine stress lines that break color. And then it also mentioned foxing. Foxing is going to be a little bit harder to see on this cover just because of the colors. I don't specifically see any. And then here's the back. There's definitely some foxing there on the back. So you can see it's just kind of something that happens to the paper over time. Oh yeah, there's a lot of nasty foxing there on the back cover. So just to give you a little idea of some of these nuances. This issue, I only could find one sale, and it was an 8.0, and it actually sold for $850 in 2022. All right, moving on to the second issue, and this is from 1972, and we got a nice cover here with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and it's an 8.0, pretty nice 8.0 copy here. Los Angeles scrambles back. This was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's 10th Sports Illustrated cover out of 29 total. He was on a lot of covers in college, I think 7 or 8 covers in college. And let's see, this is, as you can see over here, it's a Pop 3 with only 1 graded higher. And there are 6 total graded. The highest is a 9.4. I did find that one 7.0 sold for $180 in 2023. So you would estimate that this 8.0 is worth a little more than 180. In fact, I think that this one is up on Heritage Auctions right now as I record this video. By the time I post this video, the sale probably will have completed. But yeah, you should be able to go to Heritage Auctions and see what this one sold for as you're viewing this video. This one had a little bit of creasing, some spine stress, and very light foxing. I think those are the same 3 issues that they gave us on the Berra and Stengel. So let's see, there's obviously some spine stress lines. Let's see if we can spot any creasing. It looks like a scratch maybe. Creasing or foxing. A lot of times the creasing's out on this part. Oh yeah, there's some creasing right here. Here's a nice long crease going along that edge. Oh yeah, this was a big crease right here. Or wait, is that lighting from, that actually looks like that might be part of the photo. There's some more creasing right here. And then let's see, let's check out the back real quick. Foxing, you can see some really light foxing here, not nearly as bad as that previous issue we just saw, which is why this one's an 8.0 compared to the 5.0, or no, I'm sorry, it was a 6.5, wasn't it? So there you go. That is issue number 2. All right, issue number 3 that we're going to look at. This one's from 1957, and this is Wilt Chamberlain. This is Wilt Chamberlain playing with the Kansas Jayhawks. How about that? It's a 5.0. This is a very early Wilt Chamberlain cover. I think that this is really his first like mainstream cover. Now I'm sure he was on some other little publications here and there before this, but you know, as far as like sport or sporting news or Sports Illustrated or like, you know, Time, like any of those big ones, this is his first one playing in college with the Kansas Jayhawks, 1957. Really cool photo here. I projected this one at a 4.0. Nice to see it come back with the 5. Once again, this is from 1957. His first Sports Illustrated didn't come out until 1961. This is a, let's see, Pop 2 with 18 copies graded higher, the highest being an 8.5. I did find some sales for this one. A 4.0 sold in June for $113. A 7.0 sold earlier this year for $260. A 7.5 sold last year for $750. And the 8.5, which I mentioned is the highest copy graded, sold for $1,500 last year in 2023. Looking at the issues here from the grader's notes, chip out of the left bottom and the left top of the back cover. You can definitely see the chip there out of the left bottom, left top of the cover. Let's see what that looks like. Come on. Kind of harder to see, but there obviously must be something there as far as a little chip. Creasing to the cover, fingerprints on the cover, small chip on the bottom of the spine. You can definitely see the small chip on the bottom of the spine very easily. Creasing to cover. Looks like there's something little right there. Let's see. I mean, there's lots of little flaws going on here. There's definitely a crease right there. There's a crease right up here. So these are all things getting dinged. Fingerprints on the cover. Let's see if we can see fingerprints. A lot of times the fingerprints will be along the spine. Um, Fingerprints. This looks to me like it's probably an old fingerprint. So if it's a fingerprint that happened many years ago, a lot of times like the acid and the grease from the skin will eventually like eat into the page. And you know, those can absolutely not be taken out. I think that's probably what this is. Very possible that that might have a little bit of fingerprint residue there. This definitely looks like a fingerprint. You can kind of see some of um, the lines from the finger right here. This looks like a fingerprint for sure. If it's a newer fingerprint that was just recently done, those can oftentimes be wiped off with a little cloth or a cotton swab. Let's see, any other issues worth looking at? Soiling, spine splits to cover, spine stress lines to cover. Those are pretty basic. Soiling is another issue that just kind of happens over time. I think that like you see just all these kind of like color fades all throughout the paper here. Like this is all just kind of color faded. I think that's what it's referring to when it says soiling. So there you go. Really, really cool and collectible in my opinion, Wilt Chamberlain cover. All right, moving on to number 4 out of 5, and we are looking at a nice Ted Williams sport cover from what year is this? 1956. This is a 9.2. 9.2, and you gotta love anytime you get this little trophy right here, the Top Pop trophy. Oh yeah, this is the highest graded copy. There is one other 9.2. This is a beautiful, splendid splinter here from 1956. So let's see what details we got on this. It's a Pop 2 with none higher. Six total graded. I think this one is also on Heritage Auctions. So by the time you're watching this video, you should be able to go on Heritage Auctions and look at the sold items to see how much this one sold for. So this one's got a printer crease on the top back cover. Let's take a look at that top back cover. And that's what this is right here. You can kind of see it going along right here. It kind of looks like a shadow, but that's like a defect from the printer. A lot of times they won't actually deduct points for printing defects. Um, and I think CGC says usually they don't deduct for printing defects, but the grader did mark it in the notes here, so I'm assuming that it got a light ding for that printer crease on the top. It also mentions very light spine stress and very small tear on the left bottom of the front cover. Left bottom of the front cover, there's that very small tear. And then it mentions some very light spine stress. That looks like it could be one. Let's see, there's definitely a very light spine stress right there. Overall, this spine's looking pretty good for a sport magazine. Of course, the sport magazines have the staples on the inside. You can kind of see, after you press them, you can usually see the imprints. I can tell that right under there is where one of the staples is located. Then the other one would be right down. Oh yeah, clearly right under there is where the other staple is. They do not deduct points for those staple indents. I know that because I've received 9.8s before on sport magazines that have those staple indents. It's just something that kind of comes with the territory. So absolutely beautiful Ted Williams cover right here. I'm hoping for my friend that this one sells strong on Heritage Auctions. All right, let's move to the last one. This is an absolute big boy monster issue. This one's in my top 10 for most collectible Sports Illustrated issues of all time. It's the Roberto Clemente first cover, and we got a newsstand, folks. This guy's got some value for sure. Newsstand Roberto Clemente first cover. I projected a 4.0. We got a 5.0. This is the only time Clemente was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. This actually came in at number 7 on my all-time list. And it is an issue that is really tough to find. Let's actually take a quick peep at the pop reports for this Roberto Clemente. So in newsstand, you can see there have only been 21 newsstand copies graded. Imagine if there was only 21 copies graded of Roberto Clemente's rookie card. I mean, these pop numbers are just insane. There are two 9.0s, which are the leaders. One of those, I believe, sold for $18,000 a couple years ago. There's two 8.5s. I'm proud to own one of those 8.5s. And you can see them ranging down to the 4.5 being the lowest. But man, only 21 copies of the Roberto Clemente. So when you click on the link, it doesn't show you the subscriptions as well. Usually, if you were to search it through Sports Illustrated and then go click on the date, it's going to show you not only the newsstand pop counts, but it's going to show you the subscription pop counts below as well. I'm certain that this one would have definitely more than 21 subscription copies graded just because it's so hard to find a newsstand that people just go ahead and get it graded in subscription because it's that collectible of an issue. So let's see here. In 2021, okay, yeah, so in 2021, one of the 9.0s sold for 11,500, and then in 2022, the other 9.0 sold for $19,000. Last year, a 7.0 subscription sold for $315. So that just tells you how collectible it is if 7.0 subscription is going for over 300 bucks. Let's look at the issues here. This one had some water damage. Water stained the cover and the interior. You can clearly see that that's what this is. This is water damage. Almost looks like, possibly a little bit of mold. But yeah, water is not good for your magazines. And when it gets on there, it can cause some serious damage. So that is the main issue with this guy. It also mentioned, what else did it say? Some spine stress, some fingerprints, and some creasing. This is obviously some sort of issue here. Here is creasing down here. You can see pressing made this better, but with the color break, that's not going to come out. Obviously, some little creasing down here as well. Mentioned some fingerprints. Spine stress, there's definitely some spine stress going on up here. There's some noticeable ones here. Not crazy bad for vintage, but here's some pretty strong ticks. I remember looking through, this might be a fingerprint, kind of hard to tell with this color. I didn't see any glaring fingerprints, but the graders use probably more advanced technology and microscopes than I do, so I'm sure that there are some fingerprints existing somewhere. But man, I don't care what the grade is. A Roberto Clemente newsstand first cover is ultra collectible, and really excited for my friend that he's able to pick this one up. So there we go, folks. That is it. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe to this channel. I appreciate likes and comments, and until the next video, we'll see you next time.